You ready to do this, Matt?
Yes, sir. Punch it, Chewy.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Matt Shaw. We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 178. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on the website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Matt, it's been a week, Matt.
Yeah.
It's been a week. Now, it's funny because I say it's been a week, like we haven't talked in a week. However, we talk throughout the entire week, a number of times. But for the super friends that don't talk to you on a every other day type of basis, what is going on in your life this week?
Well, this week, I mean, like every week, it's like, okay, not much. But this week, I mean, some fun stuff up and coming, I guess. My sister so she goes to school in Utah, at Utah Valley, and she can't take it anymore. So she's hopping on a plane on Saturday, and she's flying down to stay with us for about a month.
What do you mean she can't take it
She
anymore?
can't take being in Utah quarantined
during this
anymore. And she wants to come hang out in San Antonio. She just misses Texas. So anyway, she's coming back, staying with us. So we're excited about that for sure. Give us somebody else to interact with, practice our social skills again. And Mama and Papa Shaw got in the car because they've been in a hotel and they were like, I don't know how long this is going to last. So they got in the car and they actually got here today back to their house. And they were like, well, we're going to keep ourselves quarantined because the kids, and I don't want to get them sick, and I don't want them to get us sick because we're older. And then my mom called me. She's like, I can't take it. This is stupid. I'm coming over. So which, let's be honest, if they were already quarantined in a hotel. Yeah, we knew this was going to happen.
They're already social distancing, right? So coming here, they weren't going to stay away. They wanted to see their grandbabies. I thought they'd give it a few days, but I was wrong. They lasted 15 minutes. So anyway, they came over tonight, and Emmy was just beside herself excited because it's been a while since she's seen them. So that was good. So that adds a whole new dynamic to our quarantine, stay-at-home stuff now that we've got people to interact with in at least somewhat meaningful ways and on a somewhat close basis, very close basis when my sister comes, which will be really fun. So we're excited about that. And then the rest of the week was mostly kind of what we do all the time. Like our family movie night this week, what did we watch? That's how bad this is because we watched so many things. I'm trying to remember what we watched. It was yesterday was our family movie day, and I can't remember what we watched, but it was good. Nice.
Oh, no, I do remember. We watched the second Lego movie.
Oh, okay.
That's good. I hadn't seen that. Jessie hadn't seen that. Emmy's never seen any of them, and it took a little bit of convincing because she wanted to watch like Pocahontas or something, and I was like, I'm out on Pocahontas. Emmy, let's watch something that's not Pocahontas. Also, spoiler to all those out there, or not spoiler, but info about me. I hate Pocahontas. It's like my least favorite Disney movie. I don't know why that is, but I hate it. Anyway,
it has one good song. That's it.
It does have a good song, and it's got a cute little raccoon, Tico, Miko, whatever. Anyway, neither here nor there. We watched the second Lego movie, which was great. It was a lot of fun. I liked it. Emmy loved it. Like, it took her like 10 seconds, and she was all in, which was fun.
Nice. So she hadn't seen the first one?
No, she's never seen the first one.
Oh, wow.
For a kid, you don't need to see the first one to see the second one. Heck, for an adult, you don't need to see the first one to see the second one. Really, there's like a little bit of backstory, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. And then she really wants to watch the first one now because we told her there was another Lego movie. She was stoked.
Nice.
And the final kind of thing that was somewhat eventful that would carry any weight was Jesse and I did watch Parasite this week because it's on Hulu.
How did you like that?
Loved it. We loved it. It was so good.
I thought for some reason you'd already seen this movie.
No, we hadn't seen. We saw it in 1917, so we saw a couple of the ones that were up for Best Picture, but we never got around to seeing Parasite. But we were like, gosh, we really need to see this. We really need to see this, and we ended up really liking it. It's cool. It deserved all the praise that it got, which usually these movies, especially ones that win Best Picture, it's like, okay, it's probably some artsy crap movie that I'm going to hate anyway.
Yeah.
But this one was intriguing enough that we were like, okay, we're going to give it a shot. And it ended up being really fun, really well written. It translated over really well, surprisingly. It felt very, I mean, it's Korean, but it felt very, I don't know, it just kind of makes you realize, okay, we're not all that different. Like, this is something that, you know, while, the setting is different, the language is different, the rest of it is very, very transferable across culture. And this was a really great movie. It was crazy. You should definitely watch it. It's free. It's on Hulu. Just like,
is it a horror movie, Matt? Are you trying to catfish me into a horror movie?
It's not a horror movie. It does have some like suspense in it, but there's nothing horror about it. No, it will make you think like, oh my gosh, like what's actually going to happen in this movie? Because you're like an hour in and you're like, that was the climax, right? And you're like, no, there's another hour left and I don't understand what there could be.
I love that when that happens in movies. My best example is I remember going to the theater to see Minority Report, and I remember I'm like 15, maybe 20 minutes into the movie, and I'm thinking, I've seen all the things from the trailer already.
Right.
What is there left to show? And then the movie just goes in a completely direction I didn't see it coming, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that about a movie when it's like, you think you have it down, you think you know what's going on, and then you realize you were wrong. I love that.
Yep. Okay. You would like this one. I think
it's good to know.
So
I did notice something different about you. You seem to be a little paler on your face. It looks as if your beard has been trimmed. Yes.
Yeah, I trimmed. I can't take it. I usually let it go for 10 days, 2 weeks at a time, and I'll trim it. And I'll go another 2 weeks, and I'll trim it. It's so dark too. It's just really noticeable. It just drives me nuts, and I don't know. It gets itchy.
I'm noticing this because I'm like looking in the camera and I don't even have all the lights on, so you can't like fully see it really well because I feel a little washed out.
You're getting there though, man.
I'm not on screen right now. This is all an audio podcast,
of course.
But I noticed. Okay, let's rewind this. A few years ago, I just had the goatee. I've had the goatee for about 20 years now, and a couple years ago, I noticed I was starting to get like a white hair or two on like under the bottom of my chin in my goatee. And I was like, boink, pick that thing out of there. Like, pluck it out. And then I had a couple. I was like, okay, well, God has a sense of humor. This is a perfect example because I had a luxurious head of hair as a teenager. And then my hairline started receding. And then it started retreating. And then it just like gave up and it was like, we're out of here. Peace. We're abandoning you. And I'm okay with that. But I was like, at least I can, grow a goatee and it looks pretty okay. Like, I'm not like saying it's like great. Like this is like world's, a world beater of a goatee that like everyone compares their goatee to my goatee. Not at all. But then I was like, really? A couple gray hairs? Come on now. You got to kick a brother while he's down? So, fast forward to now, I've got my isolation beard. And this is probably like 3 weeks worth of growth, maybe.
Right.
And I started looking around at it. Yeah, I don't just have gray and white hair in my goatee. No, I've got them like over in my sideburn areas. And I'm thinking, I'm probably a good, at this rate, 5 years away from just rocking a full salt and pepper looking beard. except I have light brown hair, and then my goatee's a lot of blonde. So it's going to be this like light brown, blonde, silver look. I don't know what you call that, but it's going to be weird.
You're going to look like a calico cat.
Well, that is a disturbing thought.
It really is. It's terrifying. The gray is real. The gray is real. And like 3 years ago when I started to get scared because I went to get my hair cut, and the cape is always black, and I look down and I go, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I'm like 28 years old. The lady's like, oh, you got some gray hairs. I'm like, yeah, tell me about it. Every time I go, there's more and there's more and there's more. It's not as noticeable because my hair is pretty light, so you can't tell that much, but I have quite a bit of gray in the front of my hair and in a little bit in my beard. So I get it.
Thankfully, I still have my boyishly rugged good looks to hold me over. So
you look so young. You look like you're in your 20s, maybe.
You know, the funny thing is, if I were to shave everything off my face, including the goatee, I easily would drop 10 years. Easy.
I believe it. You kind of do have a little bit of a baby face.
I know I do. It's
adorable.
True. I'm waiting. I'm going to wait till this beard gets big and luxurious and long. And then one day I'm just going to shave the whole thing, including the goatee. I'll go smooth as silk for the first time in 20 plus years and just freak everyone back out. And then 2 weeks later, I'll have my goatee again.
I look forward to the day when I pop up on this podcast and I go, holy shit.
Who are you? Where's Spencer?
What the freaking crap? Yeah.
So I have a question for you. This is part of my week update, but
cool.
I finished Star Trek Picard, I think last week.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think it was last week.
Okay.
And Brita and I were trying to decide what to watch. And I was like, I really kind of want to watch some more Star Trek. I'm just kind of jonesing for some more Star Trek. And I know I'm not going to get a third season of Discovery right now because everything's on hold. And so we were kind of going back and forth. We decided on Star Trek Voyager. But for a minute or two, I was entertaining the idea of going back and rewatching The Mandalorian. And as I'm scrolling through Disney Plus, Jackson, who's turning 6 on Thursday when the podcast releases, happy birthday, Jackson, he asked if he could watch The Mandalorian with me. So my question, Matt, is how young is too young to watch The Mandalorian? Because Charlie and Jackson would watch it with me if I let them.
Yeah. This is where Jesse and I are super lenient. There is no age. When Emmy's show, for me, there's no age. Because there was no age when I was a kid. I was watching Jurassic Park when I was 6, and I loved it. And ripping the people in half, I thought it was awesome. And
I don't think it's so much about the violence in this, but I just worry because it's, like we talked about, it's like a Western, so it is slower. And I just think the kids might be a little bored because the storytelling might be a little slower of a pace, a little mature enough that they may not want to stick with it.
Well, and if they don't want to stick with it, who cares?
I get to rewatch it, is what
Why
you're saying.
Why not try it? Yeah, who cares? Yeah. Who freaking cares? It's not about the kids. It's about you. Who cares?
No, I guess so. Let's jump off the kids for a minute, and I'll come back to them in a minute. We did a thing this last weekend. We did a family game night.
Yeah, we did.
And got together with our in-laws, and I streamed Jackbox games, and we played a number of Jackbox games with the family and did it remotely, which I think went really well.
Yeah.
From my perspective, it seemed to go really well. The only thing was, and I tried figuring this out. Our family wanted to be able to be on a hangout call, so they could all kind of talk to one another and laugh at each other. Jackbox is really, really good if you're in the same room, but if you're not in the same room, normally you'll stream this with someone maybe through Twitch, and you'll just chat through the chat feature and you'll type your stuff out. But trying to do the audio with them, and I was trying to listen to them, but then I wasn't pushing that through the Twitch because it was just too much, and because of the internet delay, I had to turn the family off, so I jumped out of the call because I would say something, and then I could hear almost immediately on 1 or 2 but then I could wait 7 seconds and then hear myself coming back through their TV, and then 2 seconds after that coming back through their TV. And so I think it went well, but like I said, I kind of had to go blind, so I didn't know how it was going from the family perspective.
Yeah, it was a massive lag, so there were a lot of answers that didn't get put in, or people weren't able to vote properly because we're watching the TV, and then we looked at our screens, and like the time had already passed for us to enter in information and things. But it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. Jesse and I, at least, we had a great time.
I think in the future, we're going to have to look at... I tried making sure I eliminated all the lag, but maybe there might have been a setting, because I was using 2 systems to get it over there. Maybe I could have changed the setting or something, because I could see that for some people it's like a 9-second lag. Yeah. When you only have like 20 seconds to answer a question, and you got to wait 9 seconds before you even get the question to hear it, and it's already prompting you from answers, and you don't know what you're supposed to do, you got to be quick. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. So, But that was fun. It was the only streaming I did last week, and for the reason that I'm down here in my basement where I'm recording right now, but this is also doubling as my office, so I spend the entire day down here, and then lately I've been having a hard time wanting to summon the energy to come sit back down in this chair for another 4 to 5 hours a night to play video games and stream. So I have really enjoyed the Switch being mobile, which usually I only play it in docked mode. But right now it gives me a chance to get out of this chair, hang out with Brita upstairs, sit on the couch, and I can play something, we can talk and watch something. But I've been struggling to want to do that, and just like the whole the stir crazy, the cabin fever is really getting to me. I like to get out. I like to talk to people. I like to, do things and socialize. And like this weekend, Matt, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm going to be real, like very real here for a minute. I was doing everything I could to like hold it together, because like just my stress and anxiety was like through the roof, and I was angry at like my kids, and like Brita understood it. Like she understood, like I was just struggling. I wasn't like angry necessarily at anything in particular like the kids were doing, but it just seemed like no matter when I turned around, they were always underfoot. They were always way too loud. I just wanted like 10 or 15 minutes of like quiet, be left alone. And I kept getting interrupted like every 30 seconds. And like, I had to summon everything I had to like not lose my temper, not lose my cool, not yell at my kids. It was just like, okay, Daddy's going to go out back and he's going to water the grass seed. And they're like, can we come? I was like, no. And I just like shut the sliding door behind me. Yeah. And then like I wedged the rake in the door from the outside so they couldn't open it. I was like, no. I sat out there and I watered the lawn for like 15, 20 minutes just by myself. Yeah. With no one talking to me. I wasn't listening to anything. It was just like, I just need some quiet. I just need to de-stress. And so I gotta admit, man, the old cabin fever is a real thing right now. So yeah, it's
tough, man.
It is, man. It is.
And those weekends, you used to look forward to them. So on Jesse,
it was a break from everything.
Yeah, you get to go do something, go out, have some fun, and now it's like you're just stuck.
It's just another day. The only difference is I don't sit in my chair.
Oh, the only difference is, and I don't work.
Yeah.
And for me, work is in my office without the kids. Not that I don't love spending time with my kids, but I like spending time with them when there's stuff for us to do, other than trying to make up games. And, you can only do that for so long before, like you said, you just start to just lose it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I love you. Yeah. I think. And because I think I love you, I need to not scream and yell and freak out. So they're hard. Weekends can be tough right now.
I think what also contributed to my, the struggles I had this last weekend was that the previous week was just really stressful at work, just because I had a lot of things going on. Yeah. And I'm trying to keep all these balls juggling because I inherently don't want to let people down. Like, just that's who I am. Like, I know it happens, and I know I'm not a perfect person, so I know that I do let people down. But, like, that's the thing that keeps me up at night, is, like, letting people down, letting people who are counting on me down. I hate that. Mm-hmm. I hate that. And so a lot of things were going on last week, and there's a lot of, like, kind of big projects starting to swirl and get bigger, and, like, I need to be spending more time doing a number of things that I'm still not putting enough time into it, in my opinion. I mean, if I asked my coworkers and stuff, they'd probably be very happy with where I'm at. But, like, I want to put more time into these things. Like, I want to dig deeper into some of the management of some of these programs and software that we're using so that I know it inside and out. And I just feel like I'm not getting there enough. Right. And so, like, my level of stress at work was just pretty high. And then, like, I felt like that just kind of carried over into the weekend, which has happened. Like, that's normal. Like, that's happened before. That happens to a lot of people. But then you add in this whole, like, cabin fever. No one can go anywhere. No one can do anything. And, like, having the ability to have, like, a release and to de-stress, it was a rough one. So, anyway, all that just being said is I think I'm going to take part of the day off this upcoming Thursday on Jackson's birthday. I think I'm going to take the afternoon off and just celebrate Jackson's birthday and try to, like, break the routine of the kids doing school at home and us trying to help them while working, and
right,
you know, all the things that are contributing. Just say, okay, look, we can't do all the things we normally would do, but we're going to try to make it special. And I think I'm going to put out to our Facebook group for our neighborhood to see if I can get people in the neighborhood to, like, drive by, like, maybe around, like, 6 p.m. on his birthday and, like, honk and wave and roll down their windows.
Yeah.
Because even if I can get, like, 4 or 5 cars to come do that, like, I would love it if, like, my whole neighborhood would do it. But if I can just get, like, 2, 3, 4 people, 5 people, something like that to do that, like, it would just be an extra little special way of making this birthday special. Because we wanted to take him to, like, the fun center and let him do the ball pit and the foam and the bounce houses, but we can't do any of that. Right. And we're making a cake at home, and we're just kind of, it's going to be super low key when he was, like, you know, 2 and 3 years old and didn't know any difference. Except now he's 6 and he knows different, and he wants to share his birthday with friends, but he can't. Yep. So anyway, all that to be said, I am happy to be here.
Yeah, and me too.
And I'm really excited for this conversation we have.
I'm embarrassed. These super friends have no idea what's in store. It's going to be awesome.
And we still have to answer the question from last week because we gave ourselves a little bit of time. So
that's a loaded question.
I think we need to move forward because we got stuff to talk about. So, Matt, let's kill them Bothans. I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, it is time for Rebel Intelligence. Matt, Bothans have been killed. Yep. We didn't specify how we killed them. Let's just say that they gracefully passed away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they happen to leave us intelligence behind for us to discuss. So, what do you have?
All right, let's rip off the Band-Aid. San Diego Comic-Con is canceled.
Yeah.
No surprise. They waited, and, I mean, who knows what the next little while holds. But, I mean, better safe than sorry. It's too big, too international, kind of like E3. It's just too many people in one spot. I think some of the smaller stuff maybe you could think about, because I think we're loosening a little bit. We'll see. This is the right decision. It's a smart decision. It's a bummer. Don't know when we're going to get all the information. If there is any information right now, I just don't know. Everything's kind of being pushed, so maybe there's not a lot to say.
Which might not be bad to, like, you know, not try to hold on to a convention if there's not a lot to talk about.
Right. And so, I think we're all unsurprised. And I'm not even that disappointed anymore because I expect there to be pretty much no new information this year for a lot of stuff.
I think about a month ago, I was still saddened to hear of things being canceled. And at this point, it's just like, yeah, okay. Like, you know, what took you so long? We knew this was going to happen. Like,
right.
You know.
hopefully we start seeing things being scheduled soon, right? Instead of all the cancellations. I mean, we do see some things scheduled. Let me ask you this.
When we return to normalcy, or what the new normal will be, and as we kind of phase in, do you know what the first thing you want to do that you can't do anymore right now, like what that thing is going to be? Have you started thinking that way at all?
Yes. Oh, it's so funny because we've just, I don't know how it's going to happen, right? And each state is going to do it a little bit differently. But I live in a very red state. They're very aggressive economically. Our governor's already been very clear that we want to do this quickly. So I think it will be the things that I want to do, they're going to be flipped like at the same time. So it's just going to be a go nuts thing. But the number one thing that we all want to do, and this may be the last thing that opens.
Buc-ee's?
No, Buc-ee's is still open.
Go to Buc-ee's? Okay.
Buc-ee's is open. The food's not, though, which is a bummer. No, the first thing that I want to do is take Emmy back to SeaWorld. Okay. It's been a while. She'll be so excited. And yeah, it may be the last thing to open, but also it's tourism, so maybe not. You never know. Yeah. We went right before it closed, like the day before it closed for coronavirus, and we'll probably go the first time that we can when it opens. But Emmy talks about it a lot, so that's probably the first thing we'll do.
My boys got Lagoon season passes. Actually, our whole family did. But,
right.
And the boys had never been to Lagoon. This was going to be like the big summer where we were going to take them to Lagoon for the first time and go like as much as we could to get the, our money's worth out of the passes.
Yeah.
And who knows if it'll be safe? Like, you just don't know, like big public gatherings and tourism and amusement stuff. But if it does open and it is safe to go, because if it's not safe, I don't care. I'm not taking my kids there. But if it is, I'm looking forward to that.
Lagoon is an amusement park in Utah, for those that don't know. We're just I never.
It's not just like a body of water that like a creature is going to come out of.
I can't wait to go to the lagoon.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's an amusement
park.
Hello,
kids. Welcome
pretty
to the
close
Blue
to
Lagoon.
where you live.
Yeah.
Actually.
No,
you guys live pretty close to it.
We're very close to it.
So. Both amusement parks, basically. Yep. SeaWorld's pretty much an amusement park.
I would love to say like Disneyland, but I'm not spending money on that this year. We're going
to Disney World September 13th through 19th.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you, Matt. Keeping my fingers crossed.
I feel pretty optimistic about that. And Florida's already opening their beaches. I'm like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that Disney World isn't too far behind. We'll see.
You can socially distance a little better on a beach than you can in line for Peter Pan. Just saying,
there's definitely truth to that. I'd bet a lot of money right now that we're going to go. I think there's pretty strong indication.
For your sake, I hope you are right.
Yeah.
I would love nothing more than to hear about your Disney World trip on a podcast in September.
Oh, you will. Don't you worry. That's like 5 months from now. I don't see how they keep closed that long. Got to turn a profit anyway.
You know what? I don't know. But I do know this, and I'm going to rip a Band-Aid off here. I tend to get a lot of these announcements, but the actor Brian Dennehy has passed away. I, for the longest time, thought Brian Dennehy was a native of Chicago. Being from the Chicagoland myself, we love people that are from Chicago, that exude Chicago. I always thought he was a native of Chicago, but he really actually wasn't. He was born in Connecticut. He went to Columbia University on a football scholarship, and eventually he made his way to Chicago because he became really big on like the stage plays. He was a theater actor. Now, if you don't know the name Brian Dennehy, shame on you. But if you do know the name Brian Dennehy, you're probably going to most recognize him from let's just say our realm of our sphere. He was the dad from Tommy Boy. Now he's been in a lot of other stuff. I mean, he was on the Sheriff on Silverado. He won Emmys for that. Like he's got something like 183 listed acting credits to his resume. But most people know him from the theater. He did so much in Chicago that most people in Chicago thought he was from Chicago. He was very, 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 very talented. Anything you ever saw him in, he's just this big guy, huge presence. Tommy Boy, Rambo. He was big in First Blood. I mean, anyway, Brian Denny, he's passed away, survived by his wife, Jennifer, and 5 children. So our thoughts and prayers are with his family. He is a legend, and he will be missed.
All right, so let's follow that up with some fun, cute news.
Time to shift gears. Yep, I get it. Yep.
Fun, cute news from the world of Animal Crossing, which I think is on the minds of at least you and me, I know.
Oh,
and I'm
for
sure
sure
many of the super friends as well, as it is everywhere else on the internet right now.
Yep.
There is... So... In Animal Crossing, you have the ability to create your own custom designs, and you can wear them as clothes, t-shirts, sweatshirts. You can display them as art. You can paint them on the floors.
Yeah.
Now, what's really cool that I knew about prior to this week was that you could get like QR codes. People could create their own custom design, put it on the internet, and make a QR code that somebody could then scan on their phone, and then you could have that. So I've seen like basketball courts that are painted on the ground. Ooh. That are like these different squares that you scan each code, and then you can paint the basketball floor. So you don't have to basically design it yourself. Somebody else has already designed it for you.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know, that's news to me, and that was really cool in this article this week, is you can actually get any image on the internet. But let's just say you wanted to display famous works of art in your home or however you want to display it, on your clothes, whatever you want. There's an app that will actually pixelate any image that you put into it. So if you even wanted like a family picture of your real family displayed in your home, you could put it in this app. It will pixelate it. It'll create a QR code, then it will, link with your Animal Crossing account, and you'll be able to then download it and display it or wear it as clothes. So there's also, there's lots of different, things that tickle the imagination as it pertains to this. But a lot of people are apparently going to open access art collections. With like stuff from Monet and Van Gogh and stuff like that, Rembrandt, etc., that you can actually download and display it in Animal Crossing.
I have a picture of Kratos on my wall from God of War.
Beautiful.
And I also, my sister just gave me the QR codes for these. I have a full set of, I would say costumes, outfits from the Star Trek The Next Generation. So I can wear Command Yellow, I can wear light blue Medical, I can wear dark blue Science, or I can wear gold Engineering. And then on top of that, I got the QR codes for the original Star Trek outfits from the movies. So yes, I look like Captain Picard. Or excuse me, gosh, no, not Picard. Well, yes, I can't look like Captain Picard, but right now, I can look like Captain Kirk from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which is by far the best Star Trek movie of all time.
It's a thing of beauty.
It is a thing of beauty, Matt, and I've been trying to plot and plan. Maybe I'll make this, or maybe I'll do this. And I've been starting to look around. I want to find a Han Solo custom costume, because I would love to run around looking like Han Solo from A New Hope.
That would be awesome.
I think that would be awesome.
It's unlimited. That's what's going to make Animal Crossing, and has made Animal Crossing in the past. Remember, we had that whole podcast where I played that game to death on the GameCube, right. And I think you're kind of starting to see why. And that was with very limited customization or ability to do anything like you can now. Now it's like, holy crap. And there's more to come. I've read some data mines that maybe we'll talk about when they break as actual news that are really going to blow the game up even more. It's going to be awesome. I love that game.
I'm excited. Matt, the last thing I have. I don't want to embarrass you, but you said something right before the podcast, and it hurt. It hurt me deeply.
I'll say a lot of things today that are going to hurt a lot of people.
Well, I'm starting the hurt train right now.
Yeah, bring it on.
We were talking about this article, talking about this thing, and
oh yes, I still don't know.
Disney Imagineering has created their own holodeck, and you looked at me, and in all truthfulness, you said, "What's the holodeck?" And just a little piece of me died when you said that.
It looks like the Dreamatorium from Community.
The Dreamatorium is based on the holodeck, which is kind of the whole kind of inside joke of the Dreamatorium. In Star Trek Next Generation, they introduced this room called the holodeck, which was just literally a black room with yellow painted squares and a grid on every surface. And what it did was it could make holographic projections that you could interact with that looked, felt, smelled, tasted completely real while you were in there. And that it would move with you, so you could move around in the room, but the scenery would move. So you could run down a trail in the holodeck, but you're still inside the room, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Anyway, that technology in that was basically a way that they could bring in other sets and give them an opportunity to do things that weren't just confined to a single planet they were visiting or the ship. And it gave them an opportunity to go back in time. You could go to the holodeck and be like a 1930s, riverboat casino gambler or something like that. And you could be in a big tournament or whatever. Well, at Disney right now, the Imagineers, those wonderful people who make magic truly happen, they've designed a room that they call the Dish. And it is essentially like a holodeck. It's this big, huge room with all these projectors that basically lets park employees, after they kind of wear this hat thing they got to put on, to take virtual tours of the park, to test ride experiences, look around as if they were basically right there virtually. I mean, it doesn't look as good as the holodeck, because the holodeck was obviously, shot on a sound stage, and they made it, there was a real furniture and whatnot, and we just were told that it was fake. But this is actually something that the whole VR tech is really evolving and evolving quickly. And to kind of see this video that I found where they're taking this virtual tour of Walt Disney World using this room they call the Dish, I mean, it literally is the closest thing to a real working holodeck that we have. It just doesn't, produce a real pool table that you can play.
Yeah, right. Yet. Oh, how cool that would be. That can't have surprised you that I don't know what that is. I told you I've never seen Star Trek. It can't surprise you.
I know, but the Dreamatorium, you made the connection. You
I
thought
know
the
what
Dreamatorium.
That is.
Yeah.
And I've seen this thing from Disney. I've seen it on a YouTube video.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that was a Star Trek thing. So I apologize to all the Trekkies out there.
Yeah, you hurt me. You hurt me. You hurt me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Let the hurt begin.
Okay. Well, that was the last thing I had. Did you have anything else?
I'm out.
Man, I had almost thought I had something else for you, but it's complete rumor and speculation. And so I'm just going to say that I heard something about the old X-Men possibly in the MCU, but it's complete rumor right now, and I can't confirm anything from a reputable source yet, so we'll have to wait. But I feel like this would be a great time for the old MCU to announce some big stuff to get people whipped up into a frenzy and a fury while we're all stuck at home.
I don't disagree.
So get on that. So, Matt, last week we did a movie club, and we talked about the movie Onward and kind of where we think Onward is going to end up being in the echelon of Pixar movies.
Right.
And you came up with the question of the week, what is your top 5 Pixar movies? And admittedly, I think that that's a hard thing to try to figure out. So you and I didn't answer it. Last week, we decided to hold off.
Yeah.
And we're going to answer it this week. So let's do that right now. Let's talk about our top 5 Pixar movies real quick in order. And then we're going to go to the Super Friends, because we got a lot of responses this week.
Okay.
Because people love Pixar movies.
Do you want to start with 5 or do you want to start with 1?
No, let's start with 5. We got to work our way up.
I
Save
agree.
a little suspense and drama. What do you got for me?
Do you want me to do all 5?
Sure, that's fine. All
right, so number 5 is Finding Nemo.
Ooh, okay.
I loved just like underwater. I think it's crazy and cool, and so I was into this. I like it more than Finding Dory.
Finding Nemo didn't even make my top 5.
Oof, it's a shame.
I know. Okay.
No, it's not that much. It was a distant 5. I was trying to think of a 5th because the top 4 are pretty clear to me. Number 4 is Monsters, Inc. Ooh. This will always be one of my favorite movies. The characters are so memorable, and this when Emmy was really little, this was the shiz for her. When we went on that Disney cruise and we took her to the nursery, she would lose her freaking mind. But we told them, put on Monsters, Inc., and that's what they did. And all the other kids want to watch something else, and they'd change it, and they'd have to change it back because Emmy is that kind of girl. She's very persuasive.
Yes.
So Monsters, Inc. will always be special to us, not only because it's great and we love it, but because Emmy has an affinity toward it.
Okay.
Now we're getting into some great ones. Number 3 for me is Coco. Just one of those incredible movies about family. It's bright, it's colorful, the animation is incredible, the music is great, the story is compelling. Love that movie.
Yeah.
Number 2, Onward. I talked about it last week. We talked about it. I love it. I was disappointed to hear that there were quite a few people who didn't think this was top tier Pixar, and that was sad to me. I love this movie. And then number 1, I had to pick one of these, and I went with Toy Story 3.
Oh,
I would say Toy Story 1, but my favorite of the Toy Stories is probably 3.
Yep.
It just, but think of it almost as the franchise there. The iconic music, the animation, the life-changingness of it, the timelessness.
I think 3 was a lot more emotional than 1. Like
way more. I agree. I cried like a baby.
Pixar's figured out how to like tap into like we're gonna pluck at your heartstrings. We're gonna play with your emotions, but in a way that's like, we're not just jerking you around just to jerk you around.
We're not being mean.
We're gonna tell a compelling, heartwarming story.
Totally.
And I think that they told a fun kids story in the first one that had some heart. Yep. But I think by the time they got to the third one, like they'd figured out their formula. And they hit you in the feels so hard with that movie.
Oh, it was so. I still remember watching it now. Anyway.
So those are my top. Monsters, Inc. and Finding Dory or Finding Nemo didn't even make my top 5.
Oh, I'm excited.
Which is crazy. So at number 5, it's actually Inside Out. Okay. And I like this movie because it's really kind of an interesting idea and a journey that we're seeing emotions of a child, emotions of like maybe a,
preteen,
almost preteen. And I think there's lessons in there for adults as well as kids on like how to deal with your emotions and how your emotions can take over and like, how to control things. And it's sad and it's sweet and it's fun all at the same time. And my kids loved it, and we watched a lot of it for a good stretch. So Inside Out's number 5. Number 4 is Onward. I loved the movie. Yeah. It hits me, and it ticks so many of the right boxes. But when you hear my top 3, it was I couldn't slot it above some of the others.
I get it.
At number 3, this was a movie I did not initially care for the first time I watched it, which admittedly, I think I was really, really tired. But then upon rewatches, I love this movie. It is WALL-E.
Oh, wow.
It is such a powerful movie. It is a silent film for like the first basically 30 minutes. It's got like, it's kind of like some musical in it, kind of like a musical feel in parts. It's got this great love story between these 2 robots as they're trying to learn how to communicate with one another. It also has a message about like, how we have to be more responsible for not only ourselves, but the world we have. And it kind of, it really kind of treats some things, but it also kind of shows the pitfall of just like relying on technology. And for someone like me who works in the tech field, like that to me is kind of a real thing. Like you see these people who drive into a lake because they're like, well, the GPS said turn left here. It's like
Michael Scott's the only one who's done that.
Well, whatever. Use your eyeballs. No, it's happened to other people. Like early days of GPS. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So number 3, WALL-E.
That's okay. Okay.
Number 2, Toy Story 3.
Okay.
That movie.
It's so good.
It's so good on so many levels.
Yeah.
And to see a boy transitioning into manhood and trying to put his childhood away, but yet at the same time, he doesn't want to let go of that last tie that binds him to his childhood.
Mm.
That story to me, wow.
Yep.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. And then, of course, the scene when all the toys embrace the inevitable.
Oh my gosh.
And they're going to meet their maker, and they all decide to hold hands so that they all go together, so that they're not scared because they're with each other. Man.
That's why it's number one for me. But
number 2. That's my number 2. Because my number 1 is Coco.
Yeah.
I love the music. I love the imagery. I love the story of family. I love the idea that it's celebrating a culture for me that I'm not super familiar with. And I get that this is Disney, and so maybe, some of it's accurate, some of it's maybe Disney-fied, we'll say.
Right.
But the story was just compelling and interesting, and the music is beautiful. It's I think, probably for me, the absolute pinnacle of anything that Pixar's done. And Pixar's done a lot of really great stuff.
I agree.
But I can watch Coco every single day for the rest of my life and not get tired of it. I couldn't watch Toy Story 3. It would rip my heart out way too often.
Yeah.
And I inevitably would probably, go crazy.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
Inside Out at 5, Onward at 4, WALL-E at 3, Toy Story 3 at 2, Coco at number 1.
We weren't all that different, actually.
No.
We even picked the same Toy Story.
It's the best of the Toy Stories. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So let's see what the Super Friends had to say.
Yeah.
Let's go over to the email. Let's start there, fortivenerd@gmail.com. We've got Peter Christensen. He says, Dear Nerds, Spencer, you mentioned Chicken Elegant. I immediately thought of the quote that anything with science in its name is not science, meaning that political science is an attempt to apply rigor to the study of politics, while physics never has to call itself physics science. You then proceeded to say that Chicken Elegant meets that description exactly. It sounded delicious, though. It is true. It's just a good comfort food. Elegant it is not. But I do love the fact that we call it Chicken Elegant. And I convinced my kids that, elegant sauce. So that they wouldn't go for the, cream of mushroom soup with a little bit of onion and soy sauce. Peter says, I've had a beard for a while, and it hasn't gotten quarantine gross. I also don't like it when it gets longer. It scratches and tugs at it. I tug at it, and my skin underneath gets irritated. So even though my showers per week stats have plummeted, I still keep my beard trimmed with the 2 guard.
Yep.
Playing the Joker is a very high risk, high reward opportunity. 2 actors have recently won an Academy Award for playing the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger, not to mention Jack Nicholson and Mark Hamill's beloved portrayals. On the other hand, you may end up as Jared Leto's Juggalo Joker, so good luck to whoever plays that role next. Movies, like Onward, put me in a weird spot. I'm an only child, and while my father passed away when I was only 1 year old at the time, I don't have any personal memories or loss. So brother movies that reconnect with my father movies don't push any of my buttons. I've never seen Field of Dreams and I'm in no hurry to. But I've always believed in the Yondu approach to fatherhood and relationships in general. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. Even though certain emotional needs and roles are often served by a father, the important thing is that needs are met. Ian learns exactly this when he realizes that Barley has done everything for him that he wanted from his deceased father. I thought Onward was an excellent movie, but I give it a B+ because while great, it didn't hit me dead center. I think that's fair. I knew this about Peter, and I have talked before. Peter's been on the podcast before. I knew this about Peter's situation. So for me, hearing Peter say that makes total sense to me why he would give it a B+, because, it's just not... It's not hitting him the way it's going to hit me. And sure. I think that's totally fair, and I think that's okay.
Absolutely.
He says, here are my top 5 Pixar movies. And his number 1, you and I didn't even have on our list.
Oh boy.
Number 1, Ratatouille. One of the best commentaries on creative work, a beautiful food experience, a story of carving your own path in life, plus sneakily funny.
Okay. I haven't seen that in 20 years. 15 years.
I'm ashamed to say I've never seen it.
Oh dear. It's good.
I've never seen it.
It's good. I think Peter's mentioned Ratatouille before, so I knew that he liked it. Maybe even the last 2 weeks.
It's on Disney Plus. I need to go watch it. And I know the reason why I never watched it way back when is because I tried getting a downloaded copy from a friend who'd been over in Iraq, and they'd ripped a bunch of movies, and when he came back, he had a big hard drive, and that copy of Ratatouille was crap, and the audio was off, and so I was like, nope, I'm not watching anything that's not quality, and then I just never went back and watched it. And
it's good.
I don't think my kids have seen it yet either.
It's a fun movie. You'd like it.
Number 2, WALL-E manages to be both a biting criticism of disposable consumer culture, a silent movie, a love story, a sci-fi adventure with 3 different takes on artificial intelligence. I like the way Peter's thinking there on WALL-E. Number 3, Coco. Stunning movie with important lessons about family, tradition, and the ties that bind us together, plus some killer music. I like the pun, killer music. Because they're dead. I don't know, maybe. Anyway.
That was tough. That was a stretch.
Maybe I'm stretching a little bit. Yeah. Number 4, Incredibles. Great movie about families. Still one of the best superhero movies. And dealing with how your life changes as you get older. That's another really good one. Man, Pixar, seriously.
Yeah, it's like you just interchange them. They're all great.
Right. Number 5, Toy Story 3. After dropping my oldest child off at college, I plan on going to a hotel, watching the end of this movie, and sobbing like an infant. He didn't say this in his email, but I'm going to say he probably also is going to curl up in the fetal position while sobbing like an infant.
I'm sure, sucking his thumb.
I'm just guessing here. And I wouldn't blame him if he did.
No.
2 honorable mentions. First, to Inside Out for being a unique take on our emotions and how our personalities are filmed. Second, Up, which would have been the greatest short film of all time if they'd only released the first 8 minutes, but was instead a really weird movie featuring old men fencing with walkers on a blimp, talking dogs, flying mini biplane fighters, etc. Cheers, Peter Christensen.
I do agree with Peter on Up. I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan either.
I'm a fan of that first little bit makes you, I cry.
Yeah.
Especially once you really find someone, and you think about your life with that person, and then it's like, wow, this is heavy. The rest of the movie to me sucked.
As soon as they get to the little boy and like, I'm just trying to be this and, sign my thing and I need my badge. I kind of went, okay. Like, it's an okay movie in and of itself, but yes, Peter's right. Like that first section where they show the 2 little kids and them kind of falling in love and planning this life around, and then
totally
it doesn't work out the way that, like, that was emotionally gut-wrenching. Yeah. And then we get a kind of a annoying little kid and this weird bird thing and talking dogs, and
then they get back to the good part.
Yeah.
With her and their story and starting a new adventure, and that's a really good one. Thanks for the adventure.
Yeah, they tied up nice. They tied up nice in the end, but unfortunately the beginning's too good. I don't know if that's a thing, but the beginning's too good. So that everything else doesn't feel as good by comparison.
Agreed.
Anyway. All right, let's jump. Thank you for that, Peter. Let's jump over to Twitter. So, on Twitter, I'm going to first go to... Let's see, we had a couple responses.
Barnaby's Butterteeth.
Yeah, well,
where's my Barnaby or whatever?
Barnaby, my back, and Butterteeth at Dante's _ Belmont. He did kind of clarify some of his love of anime and whatnot, because remember his list was like
confused.
17 minutes long. He says, growing up in Mexico, we got more Japanese anime than American cartoons. My guess, they were cheaper. Most of the ones I mentioned are on Netflix or Crunchyroll, and I missed a lot, he says.
Yeah.
Well, you gave me a list that if I were to go back and watch all of that, would probably take me 30 or 40 years. So
yeah,
let me work on this a little bit, Bernabe. I will get back with you later. We asked the question as like not the question of the week, but like when we put out the media, like, is Onward going to be one of the best ones? And Gidget Von LaRue, at Gidget Von LaRue says, not the best Pixar film, but certainly enjoyed it more than expected, which I think is actually high praise when your expectations aren't very high and you go in and then come out and say, I really kind of enjoyed that more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Because, Pixar, in my opinion, the threshold for Pixar movies is already really, really high.
I agree.
So, and then we got Penchutsi Dakinana at Alejandro Dakin. I hope I got that right.
He inevitably messed that up, and we are so sorry. Continue to write to us.
Probably. Says, I loved it and I enjoyed it a lot. I wouldn't say the best of Pixar, but certainly I would say a Pixar quality film. So
okay, again, still pretty good.
And then now we've got the answers over here on Twitter, and we got quite a few of them. And then it got weird. Some of our super friends started debating some of this, and then it became debates with GIFs that went on for like 3 days, and it's still going on. So
okay,
we'll stick to the comments though, because
I like it.
Yeah. Robert Darrell Good at After Christ 01 says, Inside Out, Wall-E, Coco, Up, The Incredibles.
In what order?
He does not specify.
He doesn't say.
So
I didn't have a lot of those. So
I'm going to go in the order he wrote it as his
top,
as his number 5 to number 1. So Inside Out, then Wall-E, then Coco, then Up, and The Incredibles being number 1.
Okay.
I'm going to take a guess.
Okay. Lots of people like Wall-E.
Huh? Wall-E.
So lots of people like Wall-E. I found it really boring.
Yeah, go back and watch it again. Like
I never finished it. I'm gonna be straight up. I watched
really?
30 minutes and I was like, this is boring. Sorry. Yeah. Again, this is the beginning of me offending and disappointing a lot of you.
Yeah, well,
just wait till
we get
discussion.
To the conversation. We're not done that yet.
No.
Bernabe, my back, butter teeth at Dantes_Belmont says, Toy Story, The Incredibles, Up, Inside Out, Finding Nemo. And then he says, Onward, why only 5? Coco, I forgot Coco! So his list in typical Bernabe fashion was like 7.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get that. It's hard. Like, we admitted last week, this would be hard.
Yeah, yeah.
And I appreciate you, Bernabe, stepping up to the plate and taking a swing at it because it is hard. Tim Paulin at TPaulin20 says, number 1, Monsters, Inc., undisputed favorite.
It's in my top 5. I love Monsters, Inc.
Number 2, Toy Story.
Yeah.
This and Up could switch places depending on the day, so of course number 3 is Up. Number 4, Finding Nemo. Aw, you made me ink. Number 5, The Incredibles. Honey, where's my super suit? I can't do Samuel L. Jackson.
That was pretty good.
I said, where is my super suit? Okay, maybe I can a little bit.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Honorable mentions, A Bug's Life and Wall-E.
Wow, A Bug's Life. Pulling out the old stuff.
Is Bug's Life just purely Pixar?
Yeah.
For some reason in my mind, I keep thinking it's Disney. But
no, that one's Pixar.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Good friend of the show. Good super friend. Okay, Mamba Mentality at DSpin67 says Toy Story, Up, Monsters, Inc., Ratatouille, Finding Nemo.
Man, lots of love for Up, too.
Lots of love for Up, I know.
We're just bad people.
Well, we knew that.
Well, yeah, that's not surprising.
Come on, no. Eric Gifford at Eric Bob G, our brother-in-law. Number 1.
I'll disagree with his whole list.
Yeah. Number 1, Ratatouille.
Of course.
Number 2, Wall-E. Number 3, Toy Story 3. Number 4, Finding Nemo. Number 5, Coco. Onward, Incredibles 1 and 2 would be the runners-up. He said, oops, Up 2, but not sure where. I don't know. So.
Okay. I don't disagree completely, I guess.
So if you don't know where to put it, I'm going to put it at your 8th position then. Because Onward actually 9th position, because Onward, Incredibles 1 and 2 would be runners-up. So that's 6, 7, and 8. So Up takes 9. try to balance out all the other love that Up's getting.
I love it. Yeah, I hear you.
A little weird to me, but I'm glad you guys like it. Hollywood Bones at Nova Beyond says top 5: Toy Story 3, Toy Story 1, Cars, Up, Inside Out. My top 5 doesn't include WALL-E or Ratatouille.
That's good because neither did mine.
Cars, though.
Cars got a mention for the first time.
That is the first Cars mention.
Cars it's a good movie, but
it's a good movie.
It's a kids movie to me.
That's why I said this was hard, because Pixar does so many good / great movies. Trying to keep it to 5.
It's tough.
It is tough. Isaac Edlund at Isaacalistic says, I think mine are Toy Story 1, The Incredibles, Up, Finding Nemo, and Onward. I
don't know what to say.
I like that Onward made the top 5 there, because
and
I made our top 5.
Finally.
And not a lot of other people are putting it in their top 5.
No. And are people forgetting about Coco? I feel like they're forgetting about Coco.
I think people are forgetting about
There's a
Coco.
lot of not Cocos and a lot of Up, and I feel like I'm offended a little bit.
I mean, Coco is my number 1. Mr. Pastor Ham, Lucas Ham at MTTG Brazil team says, this is so hard to do. Pixar movies are the creme de la creme, the naughty dog, as it were, of animated films. But here
like
goes. He does kind of sound like me. He's a good guy. That's why he kind of sounds like me. Sure,
I guess
that makes sense. Number 1, Coco. Hallelujah.
Finally,
Lucas Ham Swisher. Number 2, Toy Story 3, and then in parentheses he says along with 4, 2, and 1.
Yep.
Trying to sneak him in. I got it. But Toy Story 3, absolutely. Number 3, Inside Out.
Okay.
Number 4, Up.
Oh my God.
And number 5, Onward.
Oh, thank you. Okay, it's been redeemed.
He said,
if there's another one with Up in it, I'm quitting the podcast.
He says, and unlike at Nova Beyond, if I had space, I would definitely include WALL-E.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it got dirty in the comments.
And from there on out, it just descends into
this chaos.
Humorous banter and arguing over their choices in GIF form.
Okay.
We didn't have anything on Instagram and we didn't have anything on Facebook. Super friends, thank you
that was great.
much for your answers. It was so fun. Like, as I was watching these come in over the weekend, it was so fun for me to like look at these, because I could see people and like where they're coming through, and I was like, okay, I get that. And like some of these people I know in real life, or I've been around long enough in podcast communities that I go, okay, this kind of makes sense. I could see this. Like, but what made me laugh was some of these things, like Bernabe is from Mexico. His list was Toy Story, Incredibles, Up, Inside Out, Finding Nemo, and then he said Onward, and then immediately he responded like literally like a minute later, it's like, Coco! I forgot Coco! I was like, man, how do you forget Coco? That's like, that should be
You're
like
from
your
Mexico.
Heritage, man! Like, so it was just funny to see like the constraints of only having 5, and then watching some of these people I know and kind of seeing where things slotted in. And I also realized, Matt, way too many of my friends love the movie Up, and it either makes me think one of two things. 1, they're crazy, or 2, I am a cold, heartless son of a gun, and I probably need to have some sort of like, I don't know, therapy to fix me, because apparently everyone loves Up but you and I.
Yeah, we just watched. This was one of our movie nights. Like 3 weeks ago, we watched Up. And I was like, ugh. I like pulled out the Switch halfway through it. I was like, I'm bored. I can't do this. I'm frustrated. I'm sorry to everybody who likes Up. There's nothing wrong with you if you like Up.
I think there's something wrong with us.
I don't think that it should be in your top 5. I think you're crazy. There's a lot of passion behind Pixar, right? I mean, these are very emotional, highly emotional movies. They're really fun. And if you got kids, there's a whole new element to it, as well as what they love and what they grew up with. So, you don't want to be too opinionated, but Up is not top tier Pixar.
Well, go back a week or two to something Peter Christensen said in an email. he said that for him, like, cartoons of the 80s and 90s were like his childhood, but then his cartoons in like the 2000s and the 2010s weren't animated cartoons on TV, but it was the Pixar movies, it was the Disney movies. It's just like this huge resurgence in quality animated movies, and it really, I mean, yes, Disney's there, and of course, Disney owns Pixar and all this, but like, go back to Toy Story and like, was that like 94, 95? From that point on, like, Pixar became a powerhouse in that field, and they really know how to tell a story. I mean, we've got stories about brothers, we've got stories about sisters, we got stories about just emotions, we've got stories about bugs, we've got stories about cars, we've got stories about old octogenarians. I mean, like, it doesn't matter. Like, they can say, like, pick a thing, and they can find a way to tell a beautiful story that's moving and passionate and that's going to affect people.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, they did it with a short about a mom who's making, little, this little food. And it turns out to actually be a story about the relationship between her and her son and how her son's getting married and she feels like abandoned and lonely. And it's like a short film, and it is powerful.
Yeah,
so,
it's awesome.
Anyway, Super Friends, once again, you came through. Thank you so much. Matt, I almost hate to ask because I feel like they've done so much for us this week already.
I know.
But if they could help us out just a little bit more, just to put them over the top to go from being Super Friends to like mega Super Friends, how could they help us out?
So the first thing you can do is rewatch Up, because I think your nostalgia is playing too much into it.
Jeez, Matt. Oh, man.
Straight for the jugular.
Wow.
So that's one thing you can do. Rewatch Up and report back. And then if you like it, that's fine. I'm teasing, obviously. Super Friends, a majority of you love Up, and that's great. I'm stoked. Anyway, but of course, like, comment, subscribe, share. Y'all know what to do. Outside of that, just find every day. Either write it down the night before, have something that you're excited about that day. Something that you're looking forward to, something to do. Because I think that really helps when you don't wake up and every day is like exactly the same and you have nothing like special about the day. Because then you get real bogged down and frustrated with your kids or your spouse or your roommate or whatever.
Or yourself.
Have something. Yeah, have something to look forward to. If it's like, oh, tonight is my like dessert night where I get to eat whatever. Or it's Taco Tuesday and I get to go to my favorite Mexican restaurant. Whatever it is, just do something to kind of give this quarantine a little extra, you know what I'm saying?
I think you need to stop bringing up food on Monday nights when we record, because I usually don't have dinner before we record, and Daddy's getting hungry.
Oh my gosh, I had a lot of food before we recorded this, and it wasn't healthy. I mean, like a burrito, a bowl of Captain Crunch, and Doritos. So I'm living the quarantine high life.
Nice. Or as we say, the heading towards a coronary high life. Yeah.
That's how we do, baby.
All right, Matt. So you and I were talking over the weekend about an idea for a discussion. And we kind of hit on this idea because right now we're being inundated with, hey, you're stuck at home. Here's an opportunity to go watch this, go stream this. And we even did a podcast a couple weeks ago about like things to go and watch, some of our favorite shows that you can go binge right now.
Yeah.
But now we're going to flip kind of the flip side of that, and we're going to talk about shows that TV shows, a TV show, a movie, and a video game that was like all the hot rage that we never got into. For whatever reason, like when it was popular at least, we never got into, we never watched, we never experienced, and we're almost ashamed to admit it. And even though now we have all this supposed time, which I don't know where the time is because I'm still, trying to work and
right.
and parent and whatnot, and you are as well. Which is a good thing. Like I'd rather have that problem
of course.
than
we're blessed.
have been laid off and have plenty of time because I'm not collecting a paycheck and I'm not working and doing that. So not putting anyone down. But let's talk about the flip side. Like, what are those things that like you missed out on? You didn't get what the hype was, and you just kind of missed in pop culture when it was big, and you're kind of ashamed to admit it now, and you don't want to bring it up.
Right.
And then we can also talk about, like, are you actually going to do this now that you may have more time on your hands than you normally would?
Yeah. Well, spoiler, I'm going to tell you right now, I take pride in most of these, and it's part of my character, and I will not watch any of these.
All right, so I'm going to flip a coin for you here. You can either choose to pick the category, or you can choose to go first or second.
Okay, let's pick the category.
So you want to pick the category?
Yeah, I'm going to pick the category.
Okay. You pick the category, and then I'll go first in the category, and then we'll just go from there.
All right, so I will start. Let's start with TV shows.
Okay, TV shows. Okay, so I was kind of looking around at TV shows because I had to like mentally like start kind of running the clock back in time to try to think like what was a big show that was huge at the time that I just never got into for whatever reason. And so I had to like do some Google searching, and I realized that I have watched a lot of the big kind of pop culture zeitgeist type of TV shows, but what's considered one of the best shows of all time and one of the most influential shows of all time, I never watched when it was current. And that is HBO's The Sopranos. I didn't watch The Sopranos. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was talking about The Sopranos. It was the best thing since sliced bread. And it was one of those things where like everyone would be talking about it, and like I'd be there in a conversation, and I would just kind of like have to let other people just kind of talk. I couldn't contribute. I couldn't be a part of the conversation because I hadn't seen it. I couldn't be like, oh yeah, when Tony Soprano says to that guy, whack him or whatever. Like I just couldn't jump in.
Yeah.
And I felt bad at the time because everyone talked about this. And like I've gone back and I've like read a whole bunch of reviews, and that what made this show so pivotal was that it was on HBO, but it was the first time that a show really got dark, got mature, got really edgy, and they started showing things, even though still it was on HBO and they had more leeway than like network TV. But it was being broadcast into people's homes, and they were seeing something that was a lot more mature, more gritty, more raw than they'd ever seen before. So I felt bad because I'd never seen The Sopranos. And a couple of years back, maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, because you got to remember, I think this show came on like around, I want to say like 2000 maybe, like 99, January of 99. And it ran until like April, June of 2007, somewhere in there. I probably went back in like maybe like 2012, and I was like, I'm going to try to give this a go and see what it is that everyone's talking about, that everyone was like so in love with. Unpopular opinion, it's boring, it's slow, and I hate it. And I'm going to tell you why. It probably was a huge, pioneering, groundbreaking show in 1999.
Right.
But the problem is that so many other shows took its cues from that. So like I've watched The Wire, love it. Right. I've watched The Shield, Sons of Anarchy. I mean, like these shows, obviously, different context, but biker culture. But like they were gritty. I mean, gosh, The Shield about crooked cops is one of my favorite kind of like gritty shows. It is fantastic. And I think that there's shows that have done it better. And we're in 2020 now. This is old hat at this point. There's so many shows that can take a more grittier, approach, a more mature adult approach. And so for me, trying to go back to a time when like that wasn't the way, it just didn't hit me the same. It literally was like, okay, this is slow. I don't really care about the characters. It's just boring. It's just slow. I hate this. Like I forced myself to try to watch it, and I think I got through maybe 3 seasons, and I just stopped. And I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'd rather watch stuff that interests me a lot more. And this isn't it. And so it's this huge landmark show. It was beloved by everyone. It broke all the rules and set the new course for a lot of TV. But I like the stuff that followed it much, much better than what this thing was. And trying to go back in time, like, you can't replicate that time in history. And so if you missed it then, you missed it.
Right.
So The Sopranos.
Okay.
I know I'm going to get a lot of heat from a lot of people about that, but...
Oh, you might, but don't worry. I'm going to take all that heat away from you because, like, I haven't seen anything. So, big surprise, because my lists are way longer. You're, like, struggling to come up with one. I'm like, I got, like, 8. Sopranos, definitely never seen that. Never seen an episode. Don't even know what it's about. I mean, I've heard of it, obviously.
Sure. Yeah.
So here are my TV shows. In addition to that, I've got 3 of them.
Oh, wow. 2
I've never seen, and then 1 that I just never finished. And there's a good reason why I never finished. So the first show I've never seen, that I was trying to think of, like, in this vein of kind of the nerddom and pop culture.
Yeah, pop culture zeitgeist stuff. Yeah. I get
that. Game of Thrones, not 1 minute, not 1 moment of Game of Thrones have I seen. And that became a point of pride for me. Especially as the final season was coming out and everyone was disappointed. And I was like, well, it sucks to be you because I didn't watch any of it and my life is just fine.
Yeah, but when you had 7 amazing seasons before that, like, I get that.
I don't know. It's like How I Met Your Mother. 8 great seasons and then it ended, in my opinion, one of the worst endings in the history of television. One of the least, like, they didn't care about my... Anyway, don't get me... We could do... I don't know if you've done a podcast on the previous coast, but, like, worst endings to TV shows.
Oh, we should do that sometime.
Oh, I hate that.
There's a lot of good material to choose from.
Oh, there is. Okay, anyway, no spoilers, but that's going to be on my list.
So Game of Thrones, okay.
Game of Thrones. Never seen it.
Which is recent. Like, that's a big recent one.
That's a big one. Yeah, that's kind of the current one. Yeah. That was the one that was going on while I just never cared.
Yeah.
The next one I've never seen. I watched 2 episodes maybe. It was just too much for me. Breaking Bad.
Oh.
Another massive show that everybody has seen. And they talk about it and I pretend like, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about, but I don't. I mean, I know the general gist of it because I'm a human that lives on this earth.
Yeah.
However, the acid body stuff in like the first episode or second, I was like, yep, I'm out. This is too much.
See, this is like, I think we talked about this before, and I know you and I have just generally had this conversation about other shows. I think on some of these shows, like Breaking Bad, it's very rough right up front. And then it kind of eases back off that and it becomes more about like the interpersonal relationships. And then there will be random rough episodes in places throughout, but it's not that constant, like we're going to barrage you with really hard to stomach stuff week after week after week.
Right.
And so like, I always feel like if you can get past that initial push on a show like that, where you can kind of tell it's going to be like that, usually by like the 3rd, 4th episode, you're like, okay, I can take a bit of a breather. I'm fine. Yep.
I'm less opposed to watching Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I'm less opposed to starting that up. That's a show that I could see myself starting up and enjoying, though drugs terrify me. I'm not going to lie. I can do a lot of things that make other people uncomfortable. I can watch all the horror movies in the world and the evil, creepy stuff. But second you introduce drugs, I just get uncomfortable. I don't know what it is about like me, but oh my gosh, if somebody were to pop out a bong, I like lose my mind. I like get so uncomfortable. I like have hot flashes.
My sister gave me a tour of her island in Animal Crossing this weekend.
Yeah.
In her basement, she has a meth lab. It is literally Breaking Bad in her basement. It made me laugh so hard. So hard. Anyway, go ahead.
That's funny. And then the last show that I never finished is Lost. And look, okay, Lost came out in, I don't know, the mid-2000s.
2004-ish,
and I watched it.
4-ish, I think?
Something like that. It was still airing by the time that I left for my church mission for 2 years. That's a 2-year break from all things TV and movie.
Admitted.
And that
killed
my momentum.
Yep.
Either it was airing at that time or I was catching up, and I was like watching it like a mother trucker.
It ran from 2004 to 2010.
Yep. So that count me out for 2 of those years. 08 and 09, I'm gone. And I came back and was like, I don't remember what I'd watched previously, and I can't catch up now. So that one. I feel like I've got good reason. I should go back. Jessie loves that show. It's one of her favorites. She'd watch it with me in a heartbeat. It's
so good. I would say if you're going to do it though, go back and restream the whole thing. Like that's one of those ones where like
I can't.
You're not going to be able to jump back in 10 years after it went off the air and try to like remember, because it's so many plot threads and like red herrings and this and like it's got some really good storytelling, and it has some infuriating storytelling. But
well, that's JJ for you. Hello, Rise of Skywalker. All right, so
shots fired.
That's what I've got for TV shows, and I could go on, y'all. If you name a show, I ain't never seen it. Sons of Anarchy, never seen it.
Oh, there's so much TV. Like I'm mentally taking notes. I'm like, I've got to figure out how to get Matt to watch this next.
Oh, just wait till you get the movies. You guys are gonna cry when you hear the movies I've never seen.
Okay, where do you want to go next? Video game or movies?
Let's go video game.
Okay,
'cause we'll end on a especially low note.
Okay, so I've played a lot of video games over my lifetime, but admittedly, as I've gotten older, I play less and less than I used to. And I think a big part of that's just I don't have the time commitment that I used to have. I don't have, 40 hours every week to drop on a video game like I used to when I was younger and single and no kids and, going to school and not worried about a full-time job, things like that. So this game came out in like 2011, 2012. It was the rage. Everyone was playing it. It is everywhere on literally every system. I think it's been backwards compatibility with the Atari 2600 at this point.
Okay.
Skyrim.
Oh,
I've never played
You've never played it
of Skyrim. I don't know anything other than I took an arrow to the knee kind of meme. I know that it involves dragons and it's kind of set in a fantasy world. That's about the extent of what I know. I've played lots of RPG games. I've played lots of fantasy games. So like I kind of understand probably the gist of a lot of it, but I don't know what the story is. I don't know the world in which it takes place. I've actually never played any of the Elder Scrolls games.
Oh, man.
And so I know people who have put hundreds, if not thousands of hours into Skyrim on multiple consoles. But for me, I own it. I bought it on a PS4 for like $15 on sale over the holidays. But I've got so many other things I want to play and so many new things that I want to play.
Right.
And I'm still trying to work my way through The Witcher 3. So like the idea of going back to 2011, 2012 for Skyrim, I just don't know if I see that ever happening, to be perfectly honest. And I know for a lot of people, I would have to turn in my gamer card because that's one of their holy grails of gaming is Skyrim.
Dude. Even I've played Skyrim. Now, it took me until it came out on the Switch, but I've played Skyrim. Here's what I'll say about it. You probably would kind of like it. However, it's old.
Yeah.
And its combat system is terrible. One of the worst combat systems of a game I've ever played. I ended up selling it because I didn't like it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I played probably 30 hours, and I was very confused.
Which is still a lot.
It's one of those. Here's another example of Matt's a simple man. Okay, I say this a lot. I'm a simple man. Okay, and Skyrim is not a simple game. There's just way too many balls to juggle. I don't know if I'm doing the main story. I don't know if I'm on a deep side quest. My brother was like, dude, you've been on a side quest. You've been doing the Dark Dragon Slayer side quest for 20 hours. I was like, what? It's a freaking side quest? This is the most in-depth side quest ever. And that's what I'll say about Skyrim is, it's easy to dump in those hundreds of hours because there's just so much content.
I kind of feel like that's the same thing with Witcher 3 right now.
Yeah. Mark said Mark is my brother. Yeah. He's a big gamer. So that's I called him when discussing all these things because he's big in pop culture and gaming and this kind of stuff too. So anyway, Skyrim. I have played that, so I can't say I never played that.
Yep. I do feel guilty. Like when people bring it up and be like, "Oh, Skyrim this and Skyrim that," I'm like, "Yeah, totally, dragons for the win!" Right? You know?
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah. It's something. It's old now. That's what I'll say. It's old, but I am excited to see what they do next with it, because it's set in a cool place. Anyway, okay, neither here nor there.
Yep.
Moving on. My video games. Look. There's probably 1 billion that I've never played. I took like a 10-year break from gaming. I grew up and it was a massive part of my life from the Sega Genesis until the Wii.
Yeah.
Like I played it all on PlayStation, Xbox, didn't matter. Halos. I mean, I played everything all the time. GameCube. I mean, I had every system. I played it all. And then I went on a mission and went to college and it was like a 10-year break.
Priorities changed, yeah.
Yeah, well, it wasn't something I cared about anymore.
I get that.
I didn't have any money either. I didn't have any money to buy a gaming system.
Well, it's kind of like part of what I wanted to do. The Simpsons, right? Like I watched every episode of The Simpsons from the time it released until the time I went on my mission for my church. And I was gone for 2 years, and you don't watch TV during that time period. And I came back, and I just didn't have any desire to watch it again at that time. And I really haven't. I love it, but it's hard to go back to kind of reconnect to things you loved in your childhood unless it's really like a core value. And like a specific game or a specific TV show really doesn't feel like a core value that makes up who you truly are on the inside. Anyway, that's just me. That's only me I'm talking about.
This one was a little more difficult because I don't really know what I missed because none of my friends at that time, we just didn't play games. I was doing other things. Yeah. I was watching basketball and playing basketball all the time. So that was all I did. But there are a lot of series that any of the Grand Theft Autos never played a moment. I know those were really big.
I dabbled a little bit,
but I never played it.
Vice City, and that was kind of it.
But there were a few that were obviously bigger than others. Particularly, I was trying to think again about this specific podcast, and I thought, okay, I've never played at all and don't understand at all World of Warcraft. Not once in my life have I played that game, and that's a massive.
It was massive game. At the time, that's for sure.
Huge. It was the biggest game.
Yep.
And I never, ever. And haven't, and probably never will, pick that one up. I just never played it.
It's too old now. I wouldn't recommend it to a new player wanting to get into it.
Right. And there's a bunch of games, because I'll be honest, the Switch kind of reignited my love. Really, it was Breath of the Wild that changed me back. I was like, oh yeah, video games are really fun when they're really good.
Yeah.
And that changed it. Now I'm like, oh man. Now I have played or will play, right? I'm getting back in Last of Us and God of War, and I'm kind of catching up with some of those things that I missed because they are re-releases, a lot of them, or remasters or whatever, and I'm getting back.
Yep.
But there's a ton I missed.
And I'm happy that you're doing God of War and The Last of Us. The only other games I would say you really need to get back to, which is also other Naughty Dog games, the Uncharted series.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned that. The Uncharted series is another one that I just...
Don't sleep on that one.
I never played Uncharted. I mean, pretty much anything by Sony after 2007 until now. I've just never played it. I had a Wii U and I played all the big ones on Wii U, and that was it.
Here's the thing right now, Matt. Actually, there's a promotion that's going on right now with Sony, their Play at Home initiative, that you can go and get the Nathan Drake Uncharted collection, which is 1, 2, and 3. And there's something else. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But basically, you can get those games and like Sony will give them to you. And like if you can get their games for free, they're on their PS Plus. But if you leave the PS Plus service, you lose the access to those games. Okay. But in this thing, you don't lose it. They're just giving games away. And right now, the Nathan Drake collection, which is Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, are on there. And Uncharted 4 was on PS Plus just like 2-3 months back. So like I would be always checking the PS Plus every month and seeing what games are on there, because you can add them to your library and download them later. But yeah, my recommendation, if you have not played an Uncharted game, would be to start with Uncharted 2. One is a lot of fun, but it's the oldest in the series, and the controls are a little jankier than all the rest. From about 2 on, the controls are really tight. They feel really good. And the way the second game starts out just like hooks you super fast. So I'd say start 2, do 2, 3, 4. If you want to just start from the beginning, because that's kind of who you are, start at 1 and go through. But don't sleep on those. So, you will love the storytelling. Oh, the storytelling. Anyway, okay, moving on.
Well, Super Friends, if you have any suggestions of games I missed, because there's a lot. I mean, like, pretty much, if you can think of it, if it came out on PC or PlayStation or Xbox, I've never played it. That's pretty much a rule of thumb. But if it's a Nintendo game, I've played it. Don't even try. I played it and I beat it a million times and it's the best. But any of the other stuff, I missed it. Yeah, missed all of it.
All right, the last category, movies. Oh,
prepare to be offended.
Once again, so like video games, there was a lot of things. Like I had kind of a bigger list in video games just because there's so much stuff, and especially with like a lot of RPGs. Like there's even some old Final Fantasy games I haven't got into. Like I had things, but I decided to go down to Skyrim because that was like the big one at the time.
No, that was a good one. That's a big one.
Yeah. The movie I'm about to bring up. Oh gosh. I'm on record on this podcast already for stating that I hate this movie. And I don't even know if I can say it's because of the movie, but okay. The year's 2009. Everyone, and I mean everyone and their dog, except for me apparently, went and saw this movie in the theater, sometimes a couple of times. It became one of the highest grossing movies, and it held that position for about 10 years until Avengers Endgame overthrew it.
Oh my gosh.
Avatar.
Yeah. You've never seen it?
I did not see Avatar in the theaters. Everyone and their dog kept saying, like, you gotta go see Avatar. You gotta go see Avatar. But inevitably I'd say, well, you know, what's the movie about? And they'd say, well, it's kind of about this story, and it's kind of these people and these aliens. And they would always give me very, very light plot details. And I'd say, well, why is it so great? Because it's so visually stunning and the 3D. Right. I get it. It really took a huge leap forward with special effects, with green screen technology, with rotoscoping, which is a technology, let's be honest, that's been around since the 1950s. They just did it really well at the time. So everyone kept talking about how beautiful the movie was. Mm-hmm. And if you still ask people that like it, that love the movie even, and I know, no offense, I know Peter Christensen does, and I know he's going to come to the defense.
Oh, I know it.
Next week, I get this. But most people still cling on to the notion of how beautiful it is, and the technology and the green screen and the 3D aspect and blah, 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 blah. But that's all anyone could ever tell me at the time. And so I didn't go see it right away. And then I kind of dug my heels in and was just like, well, I don't want to go see this because no one can tell me what the story's about. All I hear is about how beautiful it is. Well, I can go open up the door and I can go look and see something beautiful. I can go look at the mountains. There's so many other things that are just like beautiful. And while I can understand and celebrate technical achievement in movies, to me, technical achievement doesn't make it necessarily a great film. So, for instance,
I agree. Certainly,
Avatar was up for like all sorts of awards. Like it was up for like best picture and best, I'm trying to think. There was just a list of like best, art direction, cinematography, visual effects. It won those, which makes sense. Art direction, cinematography, and visual effects. That's all the technical stuff. But it was also nominated for like best picture, best director, like a whole bunch of other stuff. Best science fiction film, actor, but whatever. And like it missed on all of those. And I went, that doesn't mean it's a great movie. It just means everyone went and saw it. And so I slept on that one. Everyone was into it, and I just was like, yeah, okay. Admittedly, I was being a little stubborn. Then I did see it a couple years later. Maybe 2013-ish, 2012, 2013. And I saw it at home on like a 55-inch screen, non-3D. So, of course, I'm missing out on some of the technical aspect. And I remember sitting and watching the movie and went, this is really kind of a bad story. It's a ripoff. We've seen, this is Pocahontas in space. This is Fern Gully. This is like, this story is nothing new. It is like almost like beat for beat some of these other movies we've seen that I think are actually a little more endearing.
Yeah.
I found the story to be boring, and I found myself, because I didn't have all the technological marvel of the IMAX, the 3D, all the things that everyone loved about it initially, I just kind of went, yep, it's not that great. Which is why when I've talked about this on the podcast before, I've talked about the fact that they made an Avatar land in Animal Kingdom, just blew my mind. I was like, that movie sucked. I get it's visual, and so I understand like how beautiful it looks. So therefore, that translates into a part in a park. Like, okay, I get it. Like I'm not going to retell that story. We've been down that road. But that was a movie that I missed at the time when it was really popular. And when you go back and you try to watch it after the fact, if you missed it the first time, you really did miss it. Like if you were to try to watch that movie now, 11 years after it came out, the technical splendor that it was isn't going to make a hill of beans to you, because things are better than that now. And so you can't compare it to that. So then you have to rely on things like story, script, acting, and it ain't that great.
Yeah.
So hot take, I hate that movie. and I missed it at the time, and I hate that movie.
I agree with that. We've talked about this. Avatar is a terrible movie.
It's terrible.
It's just not good. And it made me mad. Okay, this is 2009, which means Matt Shaw was in California wearing a name badge. Right. He was not at home. He was on a mission. So I came back and I heard all about this Avatar movie, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to watch this. And I watched it, and I was like, this movie's not good.
No.
Why am I watching this? This is really long and really boring.
It's 3.5 hours of your life you can't get back.
No, and I have never watched it since.
Me neither. I've watched it the one time.
One time. And I'll never watch it again. It was 2010. And I won't watch it again.
Yep.
I don't understand. Anyway, okay, so brace yourselves, Super Friends, because I've missed, again, a lot of movies. Now, these ones are, I feel like in my adult years or in my formative years, even as a teenager, I saw all those movies. I can't think of a movie as a teenager or in my 20s that everyone was talking about that I didn't see at some point in time.
Gotcha.
So these are just like classic movies that are referenced consistently and or constantly in some of my favorite TV shows and movies that I have never seen. So there's it's like a four-headed dragon here.
Okay.
And I have nothing to say about them because I don't really know what they are. 1, The Godfather. Godfather Part 2, Godfather Part 3, Godfather Part 12. I don't even know.
Okay. Don't watch Godfather 3 ever. Never watch Godfather 3.
Okay.
1 and 2, Matt, you owe it to yourself.
Okay.
Make amends. Okay.
I agree. I'm sure I don't have anything against any of these movies, except there's one that I do because you love it so much and my mother-in-law loves it so much. And that movie is Die Hard.
Die Hard. Best Christmas movie ever.
I have a thing with Die Hard. It's a thing now. It's not because I probably wouldn't. I mean, it's got nothing to do with how enjoyable the movie is. It has to do with a sticking of pride that it drives my mother-in-law in particular insane. That's what she wants me to get her for like birthdays and Christmas is for me to watch that movie with her.
Okay, so see, here's the thing now.
Classic.
The movie is amazing. Like, it's just a fun action movie. But the problem is now is that she's pushed you too much on it. That you're just...
Well, it's not just her. I'm not going to lie.
No, I'm sure.
It's pop culture in general.
But I'm going to say, though, if she's always asking you to watch it at Christmas time, and like she's pushing you on it too much, and you're digging your heels in. So just between you and me, and no one else is listening, get in here real close.
Yeah.
You and I can figure out a way we can watch this and not tell her you've seen this.
I couldn't do that.
So that you could be a part of the thing and know what we're talking about. She doesn't listen to this podcast anymore. She stopped a while ago. We're fine. You're cool.
That's probably true. Reese sometimes listens, though, and then I'd be in trouble. Reese.
We'll talk later.
Reese, this is a sibling bond. Don't do it. So that's one.
Okay.
And that's a big one. Yeah. Referenced a lot.
Yeah.
The other ones, Shawshank Redemption, never seen it.
Okay.
No, nothing. I mean, Schindler's List,
Ooh.
And then Pulp Fiction. I haven't seen any of those movies, and I feel like they're all classics that are referenced in a lot of, particularly TV shows. I mean, there's a whole episode in Community that's basically based on two
Pulp
movies
Fiction,
I've never seen in the same episode. Die Hard is constantly referenced in Brooklyn Nine-Nine by Jake Peralta, and I love Jake Peralta, and I want to be like him, but I won't watch Die Hard. And the other movies, I just.
All right, so
I mean, who's got the time?
I'll say this about Schindler's List: it's a good movie, very depressing. It's culturally significantly impactful and important. But if you missed it at this point, like. I don't think it's one you have to go back and see to say like you have a well-rounded, cinematic experience. Yeah, you can miss on that one. Besides the Die Hard, the Godfather, I'll get back there. What was the other one you said? Oh, Pulp Fiction.
Shawshank, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. So Shawshank, once again, like I enjoyed that movie. I think it's a good movie, but I think it's way overhyped, and the fact that it plays on TBS like all day, every day for like the last 15 years, I could sit down with you for about 5 minutes and give you the cliff notes of that, and you could call it good. Okay. It's a good movie, but like I don't think you have to go back and like it's not as one I say like Matt, you have to watch this one. Like it's Library of Congress worthy, like Right. And then what was the last one you said?
Godfather?
No.
Die Hard, Shawshank, and Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. If you like Quentin Tarantino,
I don't.
You should watch it if you do. If you don't,
he's too crazy.
This movie is very quotable. It's got a lot of great music in it, and the fact that all the scenes are out of order, they're not in sequential order. So like you watch a scene and then the movie jumps to a different scene, but you realize that scene actually takes place earlier. Like this is going to fall in the category of Matt is a simple man.
I'm a simple man, y'all.
And
I'm a simple man.
It's going to, like, you watch that movie through, and when you got to the end of it,
then
you had to like, oh, this actually goes here and this goes here. And like, you have to like play some mental Jenga to figure out where all the pieces go. Which
it's like The Witcher. The Witcher did that to me. I was like, guys, I'm a simple man. Just tell this thing sequentially.
So you got to remember, like, please. 93, 94, when Pulp Fiction came out, like, that was the shiz. That was when I was, like, early high school, and everyone was watching it because it was edgy. It was Quentin Tarantino. It was really big in pop culture. But at this point, if you haven't seen it and you're not a Quentin Tarantino guy, I'm not going to say like you have to go see this. Out of the list of the things you did say you haven't seen, Godfather and Godfather 2 are culturally significant. They are very impactful. It is masterful storytelling and worth it. They are movies from the late kind of 70s, so by today's standards, it's a little slower. So you just have to remember that it's not going to be all the crazy action that we're used to now.
Yeah.
but that's okay. Like, movies can be that way.
Oh yeah,
so
I've got no problem with slow movies. Honestly.
Definitely would say you got to get in on those, and some of the most foundational work on like the mafia in as far as film, like portraying everything else that came off that. Like, I swear, is all referential to Mario Puzo's book, The Godfather, and then the movies that Francis Ford Coppola did based off the book. And then, of course, Die Hard. Matt, that's just pure Bruce Willis action fun. I get it. There's other forces that are conspiring to keep you from wanting to watch this. You and I will talk later.
Right on.
So it's interesting that, like, we have these things, right, that we missed on when they were big. That they were, the big things. Do you think, if you were, like, not if I'm going to, try to pressure you or you try to pressure me, but, like, do you think that these would ever be things that you would go back to? Or for you, are these things, like, you feel like if you missed the boat at the time, like, the boat's just sailed and, like, culturally things have moved too far beyond and you can't go back and experience it?
No, because I have watched a lot of movies well after they were popular and enjoyed them immensely. I'll be honest, I watched Jerry Maguire for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
And I really liked it.
That's a fun movie.
And that's, like, very quotable. Also,
do you
lots
know
of
bees and
things
dogs
in that
can
movie.
Smell fear? Do you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Look at that. See?
Jonathan Lipnicki, man, he was so cute in that film.
I didn't even know that, like, You Had Me at Hello and Show Me the Money. I mean, these are all things that I knew, but I just never knew what they were from. So no, I won't just dismiss them. I will go back and watch things that were popular or things that are recommended to me, even if they're well past their cultural prime. But there are things where I'm prideful that I haven't seen it. And that's just a point of pride, not a point of they're not going to be significant. So because I've gone back and watched a lot of movies well after the fact and enjoyed them a lot, I won't say that.
Okay, I got you. Out of the 3 things I listed, Avatar for my movie, Sopranos for my TV, and video game Skyrim, what would be the one thing you would recommend I would have to go back? Like, if I were to give it a second chance, what would be the one thing?
Skyrim. I do. I think that's an important video game.
And I feel like it's in my wheelhouse too.
It totally is in your wheelhouse. I really think, you got to remember the gameplay's bad.
Yep.
Okay, just go into it knowing the gameplay's going to be bad, but there's so much to explore, and the story is rich, and the characters are deep, and you can talk to anyone. I mean, it's similar to The Witcher, but this is like the original. Like, that's the one that I would say is holding you back from, you're like missing out on either
something,
like pop culture memes or things like that.
Okay. I'm thinking if I had to recommend something off of your list.
It's long.
I was trying to think what you said for video games that you missed that...
I missed a ton. Yeah, I said a ton. Yeah, I missed everything. Yeah,
World
of Warcraft.
Okay, no.
And then you said play the Uncharted games.
Yeah, but I brought the Uncharted games up, though.
World of Warcraft was the one I said I missed, but there were a bunch of others that I listed too.
I wouldn't. So I'm definitely gonna tell you, like, off the podcast, like, this is my official thing, but like don't sleep on Naughty Dog ever. They're not to be missed. But that wasn't yours, so like I'm not gonna do this.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with a movie because TV show with Lost, like it didn't.
Breaking Bad was on there too.
Oh god, Breaking Bad. Yeah. Okay, Breaking Bad and Lost would definitely be the ones if I chose a TV show, but I'm gonna go with the movies.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say Godfather and Godfather 2.
Okay.
If I were to recommend anything, go back. Like, obviously, there's other stuff I would want you to experience because I think like you're missing out on some fun stuff or things that maybe like would help you have better references to some of the other things that you really, really love that reference these things, which stuff in pop culture does that. You can be very self-referential, but that's kind of a little bit of noise. Like, I think you can enjoy some of those other things without having to know necessarily the source material. It's just like, if you know it, it's a little wink, wink, nod, nod type of thing. But The Godfather and The Godfather 2 are just visually wonderful to watch. and they're just cinematic masterpieces. I mean, literally, I've taken cinema classes in college where huge chunks of Godfather and Godfather 2 have been used as examples of camera techniques and storytelling techniques, and it it referenced so much that like I got to a point where I was like, okay, I just have to watch these. I watched the first one, loved it. Watched the second one, loved it. Watched the third one, went, what the crap happened to a series that I loved? Never, ever watch the third one. You don't need it. 1 and 2 are masterpieces. Probably going to be in the top conversations of all movies of all time ever. The third one will never even be near that. That's like on Cabin Boy level. It is bad.
Okay.
Just saying. So those would be my things. So I think we need to turn this around now and ask the Super Friends. We got beloved Pixar movies. What is a movie, a TV show, and a video game that you missed when it was at its height of pop culture zen, when it was the biggest thing around, but you actually missed it? And I'm curious because there's a lot of good things. There's a lot of things that I think people have slept on. I know things I've slept on that I just didn't get with it when it was popular. But I want to hear from you, Super Friends. So we'll get that out to you. Let us know your answers at all the usual places: the email, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram. Don't forget we got a voicemail, which is 1-877-801-477-7687. Man, I almost blew that. 801-477-7687. I haven't said it in a little while, Matt. I almost forgot.
No, I forgot we had one.
But get us those answers in, and we'll talk about those next week. I think it'll be fun to see what are some of the other big things in pop culture that people missed for whatever reasons, and now it's kind of hard for them to feel the need or desire to go back.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Matt, I'm glad we got to do this again tonight. This felt fun. It felt refreshing. It definitely took away some of the stress and pressure I've been feeling, so I'm grateful for that. I just love doing this. I just love hanging out with you and talking with the Super Friends.
It's a party.
Well, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude to all of you out there, wherever you may be, stay safe, and may the Force be with you always.